are you? Welcome to episode 18 at the Inventor Smart community for our Inventor Spotlight. We're going to bring in Miss Melon Dash in just a moment. Just wanted to say hello. Welcome. So we do this podcast for the Inventor Smart community. We are a collection of inventors. We're at all different stages of development. Some of us are just starting out with sketches, and some of us are full-blown inventors with product on the market. So if you would like to learn more about the Inventor Smart community, you can join us at ventorsmart.com. And you can also find us where you download your apps on your Google or Apple stores. This Inventor Smart community and app is the first of its kind, so it's really exciting. We have over 2,000 plus members and a ton of resources and so much information to be a part of this community and to learn from one another. So we hope to find you at inventorsmart.com. And we look forward to having you join our community. If you're an inventor out there and you're kind of looking for a home, come find us. We are welcoming you. So, hello, Miss Melon Dash. Welcome to Inventor Spotlight, episode 18. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good. And where are you streaming in from, Madame?
Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, you're in Florida. Wonderful. And I just moved into a house with a pool in the background. I mentioned that earlier before we got on. So I know Florida is just one of those states where every other household has a pool. I live in Illinois, just outside of St. Louis. So it's not as common here as it is in the southern states. So, which is interesting to me that I was talking about the pool, because you have such a cool product about people that maybe are intimidated by the pool for various of reasons. Maybe they didn't learn when they were growing up, or they just have fears, or for, like I said, various reasons. You'll know more why than I do. So you've invented this cool product, and I think a very long time ago. So I'm just going to kind of let you take it from there. You are a member of our community. I know you've worked with Brian, and we're just happy to have you here. And I've watched all your videos and stuff, and I'm really curious of how this came about, why it came about, and kind of what you're doing with it today.
Thank you. Well, you're right. Half of the adults in the United States can't swim. And the reason they can't swim is because they're afraid. And people don't want to say they're afraid. They don't want to go to swimming lessons and say, I'm terrified in water. Show me what I need to do to overcome my fear. They just say, I want to learn to swim. So I began a swimming school in 1983, which is 42 years ago. And I called it Swimming for Adults Afraid in Water. So people could identify themselves in our title and say, I need that. And I didn't know I was an inventor then. I invented a system for learning, which I'll talk about in a minute, I guess. But that is the most exciting thing I've done. And I've built an entire career about it. But the first thing that I think I want to talk about is what happens when people panic. When people are completely in control and present, they are in their bodies, we say. Everybody is a non-physical being in a physical body. So when we're in control, we're in our bodies. The non-physical is in the physical. But when we panic, or when we sleep, or when we daydream, the non-physical leaves the body. And it's fine when we're daydreaming and when we're sleeping. But when we're in deep water and we're afraid, it's not fine. And that's when people get really uncomfortable. I mean, they won't even go, of course. So this movement of the non-physical part of ourselves out of our bodies is panic. And that is in this diagram that goes from the first circle to the fifth. That's the other one. That's learning. This diagram is a picture of what we look like when we go from calm to panic. The leftmost circle is when we're calm, when we're in our bodies. That is centered, grounded, cool, calm, and collected, in control, comfortable. And as we go to the right, we lose control more and more as we leave our bodies. The second one is nervous, where we say people are weak in the knees, or they have cold feet. The third one is butterflies in our stomach or a knot in our stomach. That's when you're frustrated or you're not having fun anymore and you're just saying, get me out of here. The fourth circle is terrified, panic. We say in our everyday language, we say paralyzed by fear or scared stiff. Because at this point, we've left so far that we can't move our limbs anymore. And then the fifth circle is panic. Lost it, gone, out to lunch, not home, freaked out. And we all go through these stages when we lose it, when we panic. And if we make the goal of swimming lessons to be in the first circle all the time, where you're comfortable and calm, then it doesn't matter what we present to you, you'll be able to learn it. And if teachers knew this, and they would make the goal comfort rather than skills. And when people are comfortable, they can learn the skills. Does that make sense?
I just got to jump in because just that whole graphic, it looks like that would just apply to so many therapeutic issues, right? The representation of this image is speaking to me as well, because I understand that as energy versus the physical, right? That's that wholeness. And there is a feeling that you get in your lower extremities, right? That fight or flight type feeling. And then you're moving the image up to where you're feeling a little more tightness in your chest and the upper extremities. And then you're going up to that throat kind of area where you get that feeling, you know. And now you're also representing that panic in the heart, the chest. And as I'm crossing over this visual, I just think it's brilliant.
Thank you.
How this is laid out and how you've just explained this. I think this is going to speak to a lot of people. So thank you for that. I think it's brilliant. Really.
You're welcome. Thank you. It does apply to any fear and any time we panic. It's certainly not limited to swimming.
Sure.
It's this development, this, I don't know if you can call it an invention or not, this diagram, this discovery, whatever it is applicable in a vast number of places. And if you flip it, if you put the circles in the other direction, and maybe we can have that image, that is what learning looks like. When we go from, I have no idea how to do it, to I can see it, but I can't do it, to sometimes I can do it and sometimes I can't. I almost have it down and I've got it down. This is what we look like when we come down into our bodies to be completely present and in control of what our bodies are doing. We've learned it.
Yeah, this is really smart. This is a great visual. And I think because, you know, I'm an energy kind of worker myself, so I identify with this. But I think even if you're not in that conscious awareness, you're still having the human experience. So your body and your inner vibe is still going to respond in this diagram form, whether you're conscious of it or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when teachers know this, they can use it and they can say, okay, well, I have this student who has math anxiety. I know that she is in the fourth circle when she steps into the classroom. I know that she can't learn in the fourth circle. I might as well not talk about algebra. I need to talk about what would make her feel comfortable right now and feel safe. And when the student is back down in the first circle, then she's ready to listen to the next thing. And
again, when you're talking about fears, all those triggers that you feel inside of your body, that's universal human triggers, right?
Yes.
So, and I also wanted to circle back around. You said something, how people that have a fear of swimming will come to you and say, I want to learn how to swim. But really, that's not it. They don't want to learn how to swim. They want to just learn how to get in the water. And so let's pick back up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do want to know how to get in the water. They, at first, 40 years ago, they were thinking that they wanted to know how to do strokes and swim.
Okay.
And I didn't know there was a difference. It was still too early for me in my awareness of all this. But I knew they had to be in their bodies first. So it took about 10 years or so of teaching people to be in their bodies until they became consistently comfortable in deep water, even though they didn't know strokes. And they would say, I can swim now. And at first I said, I thought, what do you mean you can swim? You're in deep water, but you're not doing any strokes. And then I realized they can swim. They're safe. They can swim even though they don't know strokes. Learning to swim and learning strokes are two different things. And that was a light bulb. And I'm still trying to bring that to the Red Cross and the Y to say, look, we can make people safe in deep water long before they learn strokes. In fact, it's not about strokes at all. Strokes don't make people safe. It's learning how to be in your body and be in control and just be able to rest in deep water that makes you safe. So this has really vast implications.
And so where did this originate from? I mean, I know you're going back, you said, to the 80s, which doesn't seem like that long ago, to be honest.
No. Well,
where did this kind of originate from? What's your background?
It's a story. My background, I've always been a swimmer, a competitive swimmer. When I was in college, I would swim in the nationals and in the regionals. And I would get to the regionals and I'd swim good times, my best times. And I'd get to the nationals and I wouldn't swim as fast. And you're supposed to swim faster at the last meet of the year. And, you know, when you've reached your tapered swimming state. And I said to my coach, why do every year I swim better at the regionals than at the nationals? And I said, I'm the one who said, this has got to be a mental thing. What can I read? Where should I go to find out about this? And she told me of two books to read, The Inner Game of Tennis and Freedom to Learn. And The Inner Game of Tennis was really about mindfulness, about being present. And I said, that is the problem. I am not all there at the nationals. I'm standing next to Olympians on the blocks. I'm thinking, I can't compete with that person. She's going to beat me by a half a lap. You know, why am I going to try? And so it was hurting my competition. It was hurting my performance. So anyway, when I started my swim school, I said, well, how does fear work? Because it was fear that was keeping me from doing my best. And I was teaching classes for adults who are afraid in water. I asked this question, and a few days later, I was sitting in my recliner, daydreaming, and I was looking out the window, and the first 3 circles showed up in my window. And I said, oh, that is the answer to my question. It's not the whole answer, but it's part of the answer. And I forgot about it. And a couple days later, I was sitting in my recliner daydreaming again, and the other 2 circles showed up in my window. And I knew I had the rest of the answer. And I sat down and drew what I'd seen and asked what words went with them, with the circles, and I got them. And I've used it every single day and minute since then. I apply it to myself. I feel like this is what I came to learn in my life, how to stay in my body. I'm in my body in the water, but I have used it for every single lesson, you know, probably millions of lessons by now with 6,000 adult students and all the lessons they take. It never fails. I mean, who is a spirit that doesn't have a body that you know?
It's brilliant. I'm captivated by it because I think the miracle swimming and the fear and overcome that of water. I mean, all this makes sense, but it just applies to so much. Even as an inventor, you know, oh my God. I mean, sign me up for the self-doubt, or I can't have a product on the shelf, or, you know, I get this pain in my throat, my stomach, all of it. Like I just paralyzed, right, at times. Of course,
Yes.
We get past that. We move forward. You know, we wouldn't be where we are if we held in that fear. But I still love this diagram. I love the way you're teaching it. But you've invented a product to aid people that have that fear of swimming water, deep water. And I think this crosses over too, but I'm going to tell you why in a second.
Okay.
But I'll let you tell me more about that.
Okay. During COVID, we couldn't get within 6 feet of our students to keep them from drifting away from the wall when they wanted to let go, or to let go in deep water. So after a few months of having no income and thinking, I got to do something, there must be a way to make people feel safe, I thought of the float bar. And this became our Learn to Float station, our personal Learn to Float station. And that is a frame of PVC pipe, and maybe that can come up on the screen, of a place where you can walk up to this bar, walk up bar, and you are attached to it with this belt that goes around your waist and a white anchor, this loop that attaches to the float bar. And then the blue strap is a extender that lets you adjust your distance from the bar. And if you're attached to this, then you can hold onto the bar. This is after you've learned to put your face in and you're perfectly happy putting your face in the water and opening your eyes and having your ears in the water and stuff. That's another set of steps. But once you're comfortable with those things and you want to feel the water holding you up and you want to learn that you float, whether it's on your front or on your back, you come up to this, hold on to the bar, and you adjust the distance. And then when you have felt the water holding you up, you know it's the water holding you up and not your hands. Then people will just let their hands free in the water. They'll let their hands slide off and they know they won't drift away because they're connected. And they feel themselves floating for the very first time. And we did this in the pool. We were teaching in a hotel pool. We took 3 or 4 of these to the pool. And people learned to float. And we could be 3 yards away and just spot them and make sure they were going slowly and so forth. And they learned to float and what we call unfloating, getting up from a float.
Because even from, so because your main goal obviously is adults, right?
Yes.
So even, I vaguely remember swimming lessons when I was a kid, but I think that, obviously that's part of the first steps is getting and putting your face down, getting comfortable, floating. Then you kind of move on to the other things. So you're taking it back to really step 1 for these adults to be able to get into the water and to attach themselves to something. So they realize they are floating, but they've got that security to hold on to the rail and they're attached to the unit. So they're not going to drift off.
Right.
Right. Even drift off to the deeper end of the pool, which is a psychological thing as well versus the shallower end.
Exactly.
Is that right? So
Yes.
You also have a prior to the unit goes inside the pool, you have something that attaches to the side of the pool.
Yes, well, this is a custom fit for a float bar. When we go to a hotel and we don't want to take up a lot of space because there are hotel guests in the pool, we don't want to put float bars on the bottom of the pool in the shallow end. We have retrofitted these float bars to the wall, and then we just take up a little bit of space. And these work well in the deep end because I have made one that was like a jungle gym to put in the deep end, which people love, but for a hotel pool, we do this. And this man is attached with a very long tether. He wanted to experiment being out in the middle of the deep end. So we gave him a long tether and he's really able to experiment and find out, oh my God, I always thought I'd sink to the bottom. Here I am out here in control, having fun, and I'm safe. If something happens, I can pull myself back with a tether.
Again, this is why I love inventors. I really do. This is almost a very simple solution to a very big problem, right?
It is very big.
I'm a little bit of a water baby. I lived in Florida. I go to the beach, and clearly now I have a backyard pool. And I found that when I floated in the pool on my floaty, sometimes I don't want to be drifting away. And I've actually thought about, God, I wish I had something to attach to my floaty. Yes. So, you may have a buyer here just, and I'll figure out how to attach it just so I'm not floating. I like to be where I want to be, right by where my radio is or my phone or whatever it is under the side of the pool. But moreover, I just think, how many students have you had that you think you've gotten into a point where they're comfortable getting into the water? I mean, you're doing God's work here.
Yeah, thank you. There have been over 6,000 who have gone through our program between me and my licensees. And they are all at different stages because it takes usually coming to Florida for a week, and not everybody can do that or afford that. So they come for a week and they go home and they're astonished with their progress, but swimming has never been on their calendar before, so they don't follow up as much as they want to. And a year or two later, they come back and take the next step. So it's a long process unless they really go home and play in the water.
why people want to learn how to do this. Do you think it's just a natural feeling of being floatless or lifeless, like in the water, or the weightless feeling of it? Or is it just that desire to kind of fit in in a communities or cultures or whatever it is? We're going to swim, we're going to the lake, we're on the beach.
Yeah.
Is it all of that combined? Or, because to me, when I'm in a body of water, to me, it's just healing. It's soothing.
Yes.
So I wonder if that's an element too for people, that they're like, I just want to feel that weightlessness of being, in the water. Or is it just really also
No.
releasing the fear?
It's about fear. I mean, they are not thinking about the wonderful aspects of floating because they haven't ever felt themselves float for the most part.
Okay.
But most of them are afraid in shallow water. They haven't floated. It doesn't matter what level of fear people have. If they have any fear, we can get them over it. And we want them to start at the beginning, because we know that they're not convinced that they float, that their water holds them up. And we know they're not convinced they can stay in control when they want to. They need to learn the 5 circles so they can keep themselves right here. But the answer to your question is that it's a range. Some people have just always felt that they're drawn to swimming. They've always wanted to learn to swim. I have an 80-year-old man who says, I just always wanted to learn to swim. I don't know why. I always wanted it. And then most people want to join in with their family and their kids and their grandkids, mostly grandkids. By the time they come to class, they've already missed the opportunity with their kids, wish they hadn't, hid it from their kids that they were afraid, or their wife or their husband went into the water with the kids and they couldn't. They would always make up an excuse. I'll take care of the sandwiches, that sort of thing. Sure. Or people want to use it for exercise, or they've always loved the water and they love being in, but not over their head, and they want to be able to swim out to the raft or tread water in the deep end and chat with their friends.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, and I'm not saying I'm an avid swimmer, I wouldn't swim the ocean, I'll go up to my knees if I'm lucky, especially in the ocean, but I don't have a fear of getting in the water or anything like that. So, as you're telling all this, there's a sense of sadness that came over me for these people that are missing out on such an amazing sensation, feeling, activities, and all that. And I just think it's incredible to come up with this program and these products and attachments and tools. I think it's really smart. I don't know why it hasn't been done. I'm sure there's certain things for younger people, but for adults, this is a really big deal.
I don't think it's been done for younger people either. And when I first got this patent, I was almost embarrassed to tell people that I got a patent for it, because I thought, oh, this is so obvious. Of course, people have done this there, for all of history. They take a rope and they attach it to a pillar of a tree, a bridge or something, right, or a tree or right, a sign, and but people won't go to the pool and do that. So when I made it into a thing that's branded and it says "Learn to Float Tether" on it and stuff like that, so that it's a thing that is a legitimate product you can buy, I'm just hoping that people will say, oh yeah, I saw that at the pool. It's okay if I go to the pool with one myself.
Well, and I think too, it goes back to that fear of something that comes so natural to many people. And it's that embarrassment, humiliation, fear. Like you said, you make up excuses. Oh, I'll stay up here with the kids. I got to run back to the car. You guys go ahead. Whatever it is. And then it's like you said, bringing something. But if you're branding it as, this is more common and safer. And like you said, if you really want it, it's available to you.
Yes. Yeah. And people have started to say, I want to use this for kids. My kid can't swim all the way across the pool, but if I put this in the pool, they can stop halfway and rest and then swim the rest of the way.
And feel that security of that bar. Yes. Yeah. So you've also written a few books on this topic.
Yes. I have this book, Conquer Your Fear of Water, is the first book I wrote. And this has it all.
Great cover.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Every single step that somebody needs, including the 5 circles, because you can't overcome your fear without that. I mean, it takes forever if you don't know that.
Okay. Where can we find that book at? Is it on Amazon?
It's at Amazon. Yep.
Okay.
The ebook is at Amazon. The other one is at Barnes and Noble.
Nice. Barnes
Yeah.
and Noble. Well done, you. Do you have a website where also people can purchase directly from you?
Sure. Yeah. Miracleswimming.com is my website.
Miracleswimming.com. Okay.
Yes. And I also co-wrote a book with one of my licensees about overcoming your fear of the triathlon swim. Conquer your fear of the triathlon swim. I don't have, those are out right now. But that is the same.
Those are sold out right now?
Yeah. Well,
really?
For me, in my office, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the exact same message, but it's to triathletes who are a little different, need a little bit different message.
Sure.
And I knew that book had to be written, and when she said let's write it, we did it, and it's a great. I think they're both great myself.
So where can we also find the tether equipment and the poles? You have a package, a bundle that you sell the whole kit. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And that you teach this whole system.
Yes. The whole system, the whole kit and caboodle, the float bar, the tether, the video, the podcast, the paperback book, and the ebook are $199. And we sell that at miracleswimming.com.
Miracleswimming.com, $200. You give the whole package, everything that you need. I think this is really a great deal because you're going to teach that psychological steps of fear as well. Yes. And this is a great gift for somebody.
It is. It's amazing. Right? But the thing about the gift idea is, I mean, I don't want to say don't get it as a gift, but people have to be ready.
Sure. And you have to know your receiver. Like yes. You have to know your people if you're going to buy them as a gift, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you're an inventor. How long have you been, well, you've said you've invented this product in the 80s and you didn't even realize it. Yeah. What are you doing today along with Miracle Swimming School for Adults? You're still active teaching classes, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I never thought of myself as an inventor, and I only started maybe 2 months ago saying that word or putting it at LinkedIn after my name. And I thought, you know, some of my friends are going to say, oh, geez, you know, they're going to roll their eyes.
Again, right?
But I have to, that's one of the great things about being in the Inventors Club and Inventor Smart. You know, I'm with other people who know they've invented something and who are okay with being an inventor, and they can come out of the closet as an inventor.
Yes. Yes. You got me almost a little teary-eyed because I remember the first time someone told me I was an inventor. And like he told me, Sam, you're an inventor. I'm like, this is just... And he's like, no, you're an inventor and you need to start identifying and calling yourself an inventor. And that was a big talk about fear too, right? That circle, you know, that kind of, it helped, you know, push me a little bit further, having somebody else identified to me as an inventor first. Then I accepted the term myself, and then, you know, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, especially at the Inventor Smart community, there are so many of us, and a lot of us have become friends. We're supporting one another. And I think what Brian has done to bring that collective energy together was just really, really smart. No one's in competition. Everybody's just like, where'd you get that? Or who did you contact? The resources and the trusted resources to me is most important, because man, it's a mess out there in this inventor world with you know, I'm not saying bad actors or anything like that. It's just, you know, it gets confusing. There's a lot of noise out there. So we say that a lot in this podcast. You got to find where your trusted sources are. And I met Brian probably 7 years ago, and I've been hanging around with him ever since, because I think he's just so smart and so genuine, and has really put together a really cool community like yourself. So I'm so happy that you're with us. It was really a pleasure to have you today. I learned so much from you this afternoon. Those graphics with the circles and the body and the physical and the consciousness really, really spoke volumes to me this afternoon. I think it's brilliant. I might order one of your books just to kind of learn a little bit more about your theory and how you've applied it to fear. I think it'll, go ahead and tell us these books again, if you don't mind.
Sure. And there will be another book that tells people how to use the 5 circles for other fears and for other learning. But this book is Conquer Your Fear of Water. And the other one is Conquer Your Fear of the Triathlon Swim.
Of course.
And the later books, I can't wait for those to come out either, because people need to not be afraid of math and physics and organic chemistry, these big, wild, woolly classes that they take in college. If the teaching assistants knew that their job wasn't to have someone solve the math problem, but to get them to be comfortable, then people would learn this stuff and it wouldn't be so scary.
And again, that's why I got so much out of this episode today. I mean, this applies to so many different areas. And, I always tell people too, I go, listen, we procrastinate what we fear, man. No matter what that mini fear is, your perceived fear. Some people have a fear of paying a bill. I mean, they will be late on paying a bill because there's something that blocks them from doing that, like, what is that? And then that leads to procrastination, right? I have a girlfriend that has that thing. And I'm like, honey, just set up automatic pay because I just have this anxiety. She has the money, she has the time, the this and this. So it's this weird little something. So I think that applies to so many things. And I think you taught us a lot of valuable lessons here today. And I also want to say, I'm going to order one of your tethers, because I want to attach it to the side of my pool so that I can hold on to it, so I'm not floating all around my pool this season. So I think that's a great use for it as well. I think you have a new demographic. So girls that don't want to float across the pool, right? I just want to stay in one spot. Does that make sense? All right.
Yeah, we're still learning how to use it. I mean, it's teaching us. It teaches us something new every year.
Yeah, it's just crossing over. But I love products that cross over for other uses and other applications because, why not, right?
We also put it on a noodle, and you can do this with kids at the ocean. You put the belt on them and attach the little white anchor to the noodle, and the noodle can be behind them, and they can swim out to the buoy. They say, Mom, I want to swim to the buoy. Okay, just wear the noodle. And if they get tired, they just pull this around and hang out on the noodle and rest. And Mom feels safe.
Again, it's just a brilliant way to teach water safety, water confidence, gives Mom and Dad a little bit of sense of security. If there's like something there, gives that user a little more confidence as well. I think it's great. I really do. I love it that you're a part of this community. You are our Inventor Spotlight for episode 18. Inventor Smart Community. Again, we said in the beginning of the show, if you're an inventor out there or you're a newly identified inventor like Miss Melon Dash here, come join our community. Come talk to us, see what we have the resources available, tons of links, tons of people that have been there, done that. I know when I very first started, man, I wish I knew this, the community wasn't available then. It would have saved me probably a couple of bucks and a lot of stress if I had a community to go to instead of just kind of out there on my own trying to figure it out. So, Miss Dash, I hope that you'll come back and see us. We'll talk more about the fencing that you're working on currently. And
Thank you.
I'm really glad that you've identified yourself as an inventor. And I'm excited about all of this that you're working on. I think it's great.
Thank you so much.
Really.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks.
Well done, you. Well done, you. And hopefully we'll get to meet in person. That's another thing about being part of the National Inventor Club and the Inventor Smart community. We do some in-person events. As a group, we've actually gone and met at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. As an inventor, as a person that has a patent and involved in all of this, I was a little starstruck being in the building, just having the vibe and the experience. So many inventors that have come before us and plenty that are coming along with us and behind us for younger people. It's just a great community to be a part of and tons of stuff to be involved in with our community. All right, Ms. Dash, looking forward to seeing you in the app. And thanks for being a part of this. Is there anything that you would tell a new inventor or somebody new into the community or new getting started? I mean, you have so much wisdom. What words of advice can you leave us with?
I'm so glad I found this club, because I do feel like, oh, there's somebody else who knows what it's like to be the first person to have an idea, and they don't think that they're weird, and we don't think they're weird. And I don't feel like I'm bragging when I say, what I've done. I feel like everyone knows this, and it's comforting. And I also really appreciate that there are some great resources and trustworthy sources. Brian being the number one, and he's helped me a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah,
know,
it's
right?
really been good.
He's amazing, and we say it all the time. I mean, you have to have a leader in the pack, and Brian is just such a trusted resource, and he's a really smart guy. He's got his finger on the pulse, and there's so much fresh content, fresh stuff. So we're looking forward to seeing more of you, and anybody else out there that's, like we say, an inventor, you don't know where to go, you found a home with us at Inventor Smart Community. All right, Miss Dash, episode 18 on the books, lady. We will see you soon. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. Look forward to all of it.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Good. I'm glad you had fun. All right, everyone. That's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining us again, and look forward to seeing you next time. Okay?
Thank you, too.
Bye.
Bye.